don't ever smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some disease. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to run. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Oh, welcome guys, Miss Liz in the house, and I have the incredible Daniel Burrus in the house, and we're going to be talking about his two incredible books that I'm going to pull up during the live broadcast. For everyone that you know how Miss Liz works, let's get over to all those platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and all those podcast apps out there, Spotify, LinkedIn, Listen Notes, all of those good ones, and get a like, follow, and subscribe, and get these tea times out there, because they do make a difference for the guest and for anyone who resonates with the stories that come to the tea time table. So let's get started with the disclaimer, and then we're going to get a beautiful intro in here of Daniel, and then we're going to spill his tea. And his tea today that we're spilling is anticipation, certainty, and opportunity. That is the tea we are serving tonight in this house. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I'm Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com, or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where conversation expands perspectives and invites us to not only understand the present, but prepare for what's next. Today's guest is someone who has spent decades doing exactly that, helping the world see the future before it arrives. Please join me in welcoming Daniel Burrus, one of the world's leading futurists on global trends and disrupted innovation. Recognized by the New York Times as one of the top business thinkers in the world, Daniel has delivered over 3,000 keynote speeches across the globe and advised Fortune 500 companies, including Google, Microsoft, Virgin, and the U.S. Department of Defense. He's the author of multiple bestsellers, including Flash Foresight and the Anticipational Organization, and the creator of the Hard Trend methodology, helping leaders and organizations not just recreate to change, but anticipate it and shape it. For decades, Daniel has actively predicted major technological shifts from artificial intelligence to digital transformation, long before they became part of everyday life. But beyond technology, his work is really about mindset. It's about seeing opportunity where others see uncertainty. So grab your cup and lean in. Today's Tea Time is about the future, innovation, and learning how to turn change into your greatest adventure and advantage. Let me get Daniel in here and let's spill some tea together.
Hey, how are you?
I am awesome. And yourself, Daniel?
I'm doing great, and thanks so much for having me on.
It is a pleasure to have you on. And I am ready to get into this because I just love talking about the future. Where are we going in the future there, Daniel?
Well, it is where we're going to spend the rest of our life. So we should think about it a little bit and plan for it. And one of the things I want us to do is to not just let the future unfold as it washes over us, but rather to actively shape a better future for yourself, for your family, for your businesses, and for others.
So, Daniel, I'm going to take you to the past and then we're going to jump into the future. So, who was Daniel as a little guy and who's Daniel now?
Yeah, well, I started out in my professional life teaching biology and physics and ended up starting 6 companies. First one was I had an airplane design that literally took off, had 37 national locations in the first year. Had another company, but I missed teaching. So I sold all those companies, but I didn't want to go back to teaching because you can never go back, you can only go forward. So I practiced a principle that I love, and that is taking my biggest problem and skipping them. So what I didn't like about teaching was one of the things was the limited size of the classroom. So I decided to make the classroom planet Earth. And I've given speeches in 51 countries, and my books are in many languages, so that's obviously worked. And I didn't like the limitations of a university or an institution, so I decided to work for myself. Anyway, I skipped all the things I didn't like, and for decades have been predicting the future of technological change and the opportunities it represents. And I do not have a career, I have a calling. I know why I'm on the planet, and that is to teach. So during this interview, rather than just telling you, here are some trends, good luck, I am planning on teaching all of you how you can look farther down the road with clarity, how you can find certainty in a seemingly uncertain world so you have the confidence to make some bold moves, and how you can actually be a futurist with some accuracy.
Awesome. I love it. I love when my guests take me on an adventure and take me into the future, especially artificial intelligence, because there's so many different understandings of it, right? With the AI in the AI world. So tonight, Daniel's going to take us down that rabbit hole and he's going to teach us a lot of good things for the future. But I want to get into your tea really quickly, Daniel, and then we're going to get into what you're going to teach the audience tonight. The anticipation, certainty, and opportunity. That was the tea that you gave me. Why did you give me that tea?
Well, anticipation is a key ingredient, of course, on that. And right now, we tend to be reactionary. We crisis manage. We put out fires. Change comes to us from the outside in, and then we got to react. And the business world has used agile and agility as a way to deal with it. Maybe you've heard of people pivoting. And of course, that is a reactionary strategy, reacting to a problem after it occurs, reacting to a disruption after it disrupts. And you'll have to know how to do that, but I'm going to give you today the opposite of that. And that is how to anticipate problems before you have them so you can pre-solve them. Let's face it, we've all said, I knew that would happen. And I would say, well, then why did you let it? And that's because you didn't have the confidence in your thinking. But what if you did? And I can show you how to do that. Also, you can see disruptions before they disrupt, turning disruption into a choice. I'd like you to have some choices here. So that's becoming anticipatory. And when you learn how to separate what I call the hard trends based on future facts that will happen from the soft trends based on assumptions that might happen, all of a sudden you start getting some clarity. And you mentioned when I was a young guy in the beginning, let me just share something. When I was in high school, before I could drive, before I got a driver's license, there was a kid down the block who was building a hot rod. And he was older than I was, and he had his car, he had a license, and he said, hey, would you like to take a ride tonight? I want to try something new I installed. Of course, I thought, great, love that idea. So he went out, way out in the darkness of the night, and he turned on his bright lights. But his bright lights in his car were aircraft landing lights. And boy, could you see far away. Whoa, you could see much farther down the road. What I want to do is give you those aircraft landing lights as you look down the future so that you can see much farther down the road. And again, I mentioned hard trends that were predictable. Let me give you a couple examples before we go further so that people can know what I'm talking about. For example, in the United States, as a good example, 10,000 people every day turn 70 years old. Every day in the United States. Now, are they going to get chronologically younger? No. Hard trend, certainty. They're going to get older. And we could predict a lot of problems and pre-solve them, or we could let those problems play out. I believe in looking at what are those problems and predicting them and pre-solving them. For example, a lot of people love to go fishing, boating, but as they get older, 80s and 90s, it's hard to launch the boat. So what if we created an easy launch trailer and boat launcher for seniors designed to make it easy? Would we have a built-in growing market every year? Well, yeah, 10,000 a day are turning 70. And pretty soon, 10,000 a day are turning 80. Pretty soon, 10,080 are turning 90. And by the way, that's called a rapidly growing market. You could take those numbers to the bank because they're solid numbers and get a loan for that kind of a business. And by the way, you would even know what countries to export it to, because you know the countries that have young populations and older populations. I'm just giving you an example of how you can innovate with low risk. And when it comes to healthcare, I mentioned hard trends and soft trends. By the way, I love them both. So I just started to explain them. I'm going to give you a little test. Now, you don't have to answer this. Yeah, I'm not going to put you on the spot unless you want to, but it's a learning experience, right? So
Yep.
here's the setup. Healthcare costs in the United States have been going up for 20 years. By the way, that's called the trend. Now, is that a hard trend, future fact that it will continue to go up? Nothing we can do about it. Or is it a soft trend? We could actually change that and have it start going down. Now, think to yourself an answer. By the way, if you want to jump in, please go ahead. What do you think, Liz? What's your take on it?
I think it's going to go down.
Great answer. It's a soft trend. Now, here's why. Because most of us don't know that an aspirin in a hospital costs $25 a piece. Most of us don't realize that the artificial knee you're having put in because you played so much tennis when you were young, that can vary in price, same size, same manufacturer of that artificial knee by over 100%. See, we don't know what it costs. But what if we used a technology called blockchain to make it all transparent so we could see the cost of everything and have it be super secure? By the way, blockchain can do that. And there is a blockchain for healthcare that has just gotten 100 million in funding. When we all of a sudden know the cost, guess what? The cost will come down. So instead of, and I only gave you one example, I could give you hundreds of examples of how we could lower the cost. So instead of saying, I think healthcare costs will go down, which has no certainty to it, the key is it's a soft trend, meaning we can influence it. We can decide to make the healthcare costs go down. We're empowered. So a hard trend, let me give you a technology hard trend, AI. Now, a lot of people don't like AI and would love to turn it off. Sorry, ain't gonna happen. It is getting exponentially more powerful every year, hard trend. Will it cause a lot of harm? Soft trend. You could do something about that. Will it get rid of all of our jobs and all of us will be unemployed? Soft trend. That's not a future fact. We could do something about that, or we could end up with no jobs. We have a lot more power than you think. And since I brought up the subject of AI, most companies are making a mistake of having an AI first strategy. And what does that mean? Well, AI can help us cut costs. We can get rid of a whole bunch of people. We can get our costs down. It's a cost-cutting device. And a lot of companies are doing that. But what we should be doing is having a human-first AI strategy. A human first. Why? Because AI is good at tasks, not good at roles. A human fills a role, not a task. All right? And if we automate some of the tasks that us humans do, we can do a better job at our role. Let me give you a really good example of what I think we'll see the future of for all of us with AI. I call it augmented thinking versus replacement thinking. So let's say you know somebody with cancer, heaven forbid. You'll need an oncologist. That's the type of doctor that treats cancer, an oncologist. And right now, AI knows more about oncology than any other living doctor because it knows every single gene therapy that's ever been done, everything, a single X-ray and MRI that's ever been done globally. It knows the results of all chemotherapies. It has all of that already. No human can keep that in their head. No human can recall all of that detail. That's a great thing about AI. So if you know someone that has cancer, heaven forbid, I'm going to give you one of three choices. Either a really good oncologist, choice one. Choice number two, just AI. Choice number three, a really good oncologist that has access to AI.
I'd go with
That's
C.
the future. Well, yeah, that's called augmented thinking because AI can do stuff a doctor can't do. Good, I'm glad we have AI. But a doctor can do something AI can't do, like establish trust, establish a relationship, listen strategically. It can listen, but it can't listen strategically. Communicate. It's not very good at communicating. AI is good at informing, collaborating, innovating, having emotional intelligence. By the way, AI is horrible at that. You see, humans, there's a reason we call it artificial intelligence. It's not human intelligence. And I think going forward, it's okay to have both. And let me address the bad things about AI. Can it do bad things? Oh, yes. Yes. We can have deep fakes of anybody. We can copy a voice in seconds. We can do, cybersecurity is having all kinds of trouble with AI. So, and AI can say things that aren't true. So AI can do a lot of bad things, but here's what I want you to understand. AI can do a lot of amazingly good things. Do you know that within just a couple of days, AI came up with the first new antibiotic and that actually treats drug-resistant bacteria, and we haven't had a new antibiotic in 60 years. And
Wow.
it did it in less than a month. I call that a good thing. And I could give you hundreds and hundreds of great things that AI is doing that it's like, thank goodness it's doing it. But it can do bad things. So here's what I'm going to suggest to all of you right now. I would suggest all of you tuned into this are good people. So here's what I suggest we do. Let's use AI to do really good things. And then let's protect ourselves from the bad people that are doing really bad things. And by the way, how do we protect ourselves? Let me help you with that real quickly with some interesting, important things. Number one, you need a family password. Nobody else knows it but your family. Why? Because AI can copy a voice and sound exactly like anybody. So you could get a call from a grandson or a granddaughter or a daughter or a son saying, hey, I'm in jail, I need money, and they sound just like themselves. And then you can say, oh, what's the family password? And if they don't know it, it's AI, and you hang up. You see, if you get I call it zero trust. I want you to all have zero trust. Zero trust. What that means is if you get an email from the bank, don't trust it. If you get a text message from a bank, don't trust it. Even if you get a phone call from a bank or insurance company, don't trust it. If I get a call from my bank, I won't trust it. I'll hang up, but you know what I'll do? I'll call my bank based on the number in the back of my credit card and say, was there an issue? I want to be the one calling them on the trusted numbers. I'm not going to respond to them contacting me. So I gave you two things. You need a family passcode and zero trust when you're doing anything because people are losing so much money. It's unbelievable because they're trusting way too much. That's how to deal with the negative. But remember, you can do so many wonderful, positive things with it. And remember, AI does not do 100% of anything. Yeah. It can do 80% fast. Well, good. You don't have to start with a blank sheet. But we need you for that last important 20% to add your voice to it, to add your nuance to it, to add your wisdom to it. By the way, there's no such thing as artificial wisdom.
right? I
right?
am so glad that we're bringing this conversation to the table because there's so many people, especially in my family and friends and that as well, right? They'll be like, oh, somebody just called me and da 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 da. I was like, did you call them back? Did you tell them I'm going to call to confirm? Especially Amazon. Amazon is really bad for this time of year. Mother's Day is coming around, Father's Day is coming around. All the kind of holidays are coming around. So we get a lot of scam calls, right? In Canada and the United States and across the globe, right? And I always
Across
tell
the
everybody,
globe, everywhere.
right? And I tell everybody, call the number. We have numbers on our cards for a reason. Call those numbers. And if they hang up on you, it's obviously not legit. So, I'm glad that we're getting that information out there to the listeners today, Daniel. And thank you for that. Like family password. I would have never thought of doing that. So that's one thing I'll be adding to my book list. So
Well,
Daniel,
and that revolves around a very important thing that is a key to all of our futures. And remember, we live in an increasingly technological world, but don't forget, we live in a human world.
yes.
And in the human world, it's all based on relationships. And there are good relationships and bad relationships. And what's the difference? Trust. Trust. And how do you get trust? Universal global values, honesty, integrity, delivering on promises. So you never want to teach people to distrust you, because if you lose trust, it's really hard to get back. So here's what you have to do when using any AI, and that is verify what you're getting. Verify it, because it can make things up. And I've heard people say, well, I don't like AI because it can make things up. And I would say, yeah, guess what? Humans make things up.
Right?
Humans lie to you. So whether it's social media or a person or AI, I want people, friends, family, business, I want people to trust me. So I'm going to go the extra mile because I think trust is important. And I think you understand that too. And that is, I want to verify, check a couple other sources, make sure this is real, because people could be going down a bad rabbit hole, as you use that phrase, if they are, if they're doing something that they trusted that was not correct. So you owe it to the relationships that you have of all kinds to maintain trust and double check all the facts. That's one of the problems we're having globally. And one of the reasons we have neighbors against neighbors, and it's not just in the United States, it's everywhere, is social media, because social media, anybody can say anything. And there's no vetting it. There's no fact checking. I mean, traditionally, we go back in time, there were a number of news networks, and they all had to vet all their stories. They had to all double check them and triple check them. And by the way, if there's a reporter that got it wrong, they were fired. But now 85% of the people in Canada and the US and in a lot of other countries get their news from, horribly, the social media and the internet.
Absolutely.
And by the way, most of it is fake anyway. So I would say it's important for us to verify before we go off. And by the way, it's getting good and good at making the bad stuff look good.
Absolutely. 100%.
So let's verify. So again,
we have
it's
a
all
couple
about trust.
We have a couple of questions that are coming in, Daniel, and I just want to get those out to you. Let's get the first one out here.
Why don't you just read it to me and I'll answer it.
What was the first step becoming more anticipatory?
I'll do that. And by the way, I could have picked an easier word, right? Anticipatory doesn't flow.
My tongue just doesn't twist that way.
yeah, exactly. And well, I'm glad you showed it to me, because I can see the picture of the gentleman that's asking it. So it's kind of nice to have an additional connection. And so let me answer that. To become an anticipatory business, a couple of things. Number one, of course, you could go to and read my anticipatory organization book, which is in many languages, easy to get a hold of, and I went into a lot of details on that. So that's number one. But number two, for free, you can go to Burrus, BURRUS.com, and I've written so much on it. You can search by subject and download the articles for free, or you can just read them online. So I'm not even trying to sell you something. I'm trying to give you something here, okay? So let me answer your question specifically, because I think there's more than one person wanting to know how to be anticipatory. And that is, I'd like you to create a list of things that you are certain about. See, right now we have this big list of uncertainty, and that doesn't empower you to make bold moves. What are you certain about? And think in terms of demographics. Like I mentioned, we've got multiple demographics. By the way, they're all aging and getting older. They all have different viewpoints. They all use technology differently. You communicate and collaborate differently with each one. Learning more about each one is important. If you're a business and you want to be more anticipatory, the first thing you want to do is not have a one-size-fits-all marketing strategy. Or instead, I want to have a different strategy for each one of the different demographics because they value different things. They communicate, collaborate in different ways. So that might be one. Secondly, I want to identify those, when I said the list of things I'm certain about, what are those hard trends? And let me help you with a little advanced lesson in hard trends. I'm going to give it to you all because it'll help you. And that is, I'm going to make a trend statement that you'll find difficult, and I'll show you how to make it easy. Now, here's the trend statement. A lot of people in our organization will be retiring over the next couple of years, and they'll be taking their knowledge and wisdom with them when they retire. Now, that could be hard. Is that hard or soft? I'm not sure. But that's because, I'm going to give you the clue, there was the word and in there. If there's the word and, you've actually got two trends going on. Usually, it's a hard trend followed by a soft trend. Let me replay the one I just gave you. A lot of people in our organization will be retiring in the next couple of years. By the way, hard trend if you are in Canada or the US or you're in an aging population. Hard trend, that's going to happen. And they'll take their knowledge and wisdom with them when they leave. Well, that's a soft trend. You could let them leave with it, but you could say, well, yeah, let's not do that. Why don't we have a mentoring program before they leave? Why? You've got a database. Do you have a knowledge base? Do you have a wisdom base? Have we started to pull some of that wisdom? By the way, if we're sharing and pulling wisdom, we're not taking it out of you like you do with a tooth. You get to keep it. So it's really powerful. So I'm giving you an example. So I'm going to be looking at demographics. Then I'm going to look at technology, which is amazingly predictable. Let me give you some examples. We went from 3G wireless to 4G wireless to 5G wireless. Is that it? No. We're going to have 6 followed by 7. We are putting a lot in the cloud. Hey, is the cloud getting full? No, we're going to be putting more in the cloud. We've got a lot of different technologies. And by the way, if you'd like a list of the key technologies shaping the future, you could go to Tech Trends. Let's see, what do I call it? 20techtrendsreport.com. 20 is a 20 number, not written out. Actually, you know what? I think I just added, 25techtrendsreport.com. I'm sorry, 25techtrendsreport.com. You can download it for free, get a list of the key technologies that are shaping the future and what to do about them, and you don't have to be a technologist to understand it. Let me give you a quick example of one of them. Digital twins. What the heck is a digital twin? Well, you can make a digital twin of a building before you build it. A digital twin of it, and you can test things on it to see what works and what doesn't. You can even create digital humans that go in the building and use the elevators and the escalators to see how movement works. You can make a digital twin of a human being using their genetics and everything we know about them and the x-rays and the MRIs, and try different, if it's a drug, you can try different chemotherapy on the digital twin of the person to see if it works or not first. Or you can go through a surgical procedure that's difficult using special virtual reality glasses, so it looks like you're doing the surgery on the digital twin before you do the real surgery, if it's a difficult surgery. You can make a digital twin of anything. And that's just one technology, and that's not even AI. So you could do that. And since I mentioned AI, let me give you another free report if you want to download it. It's the AIstrategyreport.com. AIstrategyreport.com. What did I do there? Well, I have actually personally used over 1,500 AI tools. Bet you don't know a lot of people that have done that. And
Wow.
I found out there's a lot of junk out there. However, there are some real gems. So what I did is I put the 5 best ones. By the way, all of them you can try for free if you want. Holy cow. And it's the 5 best in a whole bunch of categories. And most people don't even know the categories of what you can do with them. For example, what are the 5 best for making PowerPoints? What are the 5 best for making videos? What are the 5 best for if you want to create a website? What are the 5 best? Well, I've got a list of all of those and case studies of how businesses have used them. By the way, all free, download it, AIstrategyreport.com. So I'm not selling you something here. I'm trying to give you some things for those of you who want to go further. So going back to that first question, which I've been circling back to because I think it's a key question, and that is, what are the hard trends that you know will happen? Think of demographics, think of technology, and attach an opportunity to each one. You see, trends by themselves are academic, who cares? But when you attach an opportunity, whoa, all of a sudden it bursts into actionable life. Make a list of the soft trends. Now, these are the things that may or may not happen. I don't know if they'll happen. They're based on assumptions, not future facts. But the opportunity is to influence it in a positive way. I talked about the soft trend of healthcare costs going up. That's soft. You could also make it go down. Up to you. AI.
What's a choice, right?
We could use it to replace jobs, or we could use it to be more effective, more efficient, and actually free people of the drudgery of a lot of the low-level tasks that they do. I mean, most of us, I call it the undiscovered self. It's almost like another teapot for you here, another cup of tea. The undiscovered self. What the heck is that? Well, you've been so busy doing your job and then living your life, you haven't had a chance to discover all that's inside of you yet. There's a lot undiscovered. And one of the things that AI is going to do that's positive is it will let you automate easily a lot of the low-level repetitive functions that you do. And what are you going to do with that time? You can explore all that you have never explored and discover you're a lot better than you thought. You can think a lot more than you realize. You can do a lot more productive things than you ever thought. Why? Because now we're going to give you some time to do that. And it can be personal too. For example, you may be the world's best flute player, but maybe you never picked one up and tried it. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
So it's about experimenting. It's about finding out. I'd like to find out what's inside. I don't want to die having never figured it out. Be good to really find out. So I'd like you to discover the undiscovered self, both in business by realizing you have a lot more capabilities than you think. And if you're older, a lot of people think, well, you know, there's a saying, you can't teach an old dog a new trick. And I would say, well, good. Thank goodness we're not dogs. I mean, you can learn something new and be 90. I know a 93-year-old right now that has been started learning AI at 91 and is doing amazingly well with it because he has an open mind and wanting to learn something new. He didn't have to become a technologist, and he's excited about it. So, again, it's not about age. I know young people that are old and old people that are young. It's not about how much gray hair you have. It's kind of about what's going on up here. That's what it's all
and
about.
I got quite a bit of that gray hair going on.
But that doesn't matter because it's about your mindset. I want us to have an anticipatory versus a reactionary mindset. I want us to have our opportunity antenna up. And don't put it back down again. Looking for opportunities. Because when you look, you see. If you're not looking for opportunities, you won't see any. But there's more opportunity today than ever before in human history. And again, some of the resources I gave you will help you to see those opportunities, to make them from invisible to visible. Do we have any more questions? I bet we do have some more questions.
Yeah, we got some questions that are coming in, and I just want to get this one out because you're just talking about this. What is the first steps to becoming?
Well, no, we answered that one already. Try another.
Oh, that one we got already?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go. We got a lot coming in here. So how do you separate real trends from hype?
Oh, very good. Thank you for asking that. You have to ask yourself, first of all, a hard trend, the litmus test for it is, can it be changed? Can it be changed? For example, I mentioned baby boomers getting older. Can we all of a sudden make them chronologically young? No. Now, I said chronologically. They can, let's say, biologically get younger by exercising and eating well, right? But chronologically, age, no, we can't make them younger. I'm giving you an example. We can't make AI go away. You can 3D print blood vessels. You can 3D print human ears. You can 3D print a rocket ship. And that's not going away. That's a hard trend. What's the soft trend? What are you going to do with it? Will you use it? How might you use it in your business? How might you use it to do something else? Like, for example, a lot of times you have your car needs repair, and you'll go in and they say, well, we're going to have to order the part. You know, your car was made in Germany. We got to get the part from Germany. Well, what's the future? That automobile dealer will have a 3D printer and 3D print the part for you right there without having to ship it.
Right.
And by the way, that will happen. That's a hard trend. That be why? Because if based on a hard trend, if it can be done, it will be done. If you don't, someone else will.
Absolutely. And that's what people are doing, is missing opportunities because they're waiting for somebody else to do it instead of just trying to do it.
Right. So that question that's up there right now, how do you separate real trends? Don't use the word real, because let's start using the right wording. I think it'll help you. Hard trends versus soft trends. And remember, I like them both. A soft trend is based on an assumption that may or may not happen. And what do I love about a soft trend? If you don't like it, you can change it. What I like about a hard trend is it's going to happen no matter what. That lets me see disruption before it disrupts. It lets me see problems before I have them. It gives me a window to the future that goes way out, like turning on those super bright lights. All right, have we got another one?
We got another one for you. How can beginners start applying this in their daily life?
Well, why don't, when you're got a little time to think about it, and again, time won't appear, you have to take the time. But again, you're going to spend the rest of your life in the future. It's worth thinking about. And that is, just write a certainty down and think in terms of certainties and cycles. What cycles do you know that repeat? By the way, there are seasonal cycles, right? Summer, fall, winter, spring. There are financial cycles. The stock market doesn't go up forever and it doesn't go down forever. It goes up and it goes down. Those are cycles. There's biological cycles, business cycles, weather cycles. There's even sales cycles. By the way, if there's a sales cycle, I like to have the sale completed before the cycle begins. In other words, you can make use of cycles. Why don't you make a little list of cycles that impact you and your business or your life? And then look at how can you be anticipatory, get ahead of that. Another one is, again, technology changes. What are the technology hard trends that are shaping the future? Can it be changed? That's your litmus test. If it can't be changed, it's a hard trend. Write it down. And once you write it down, then ask yourself, okay, what's the opportunity here for me or for my business or for my son or daughter because they're in college or whatever?
The next question we have for you is, can small businesses apply the anticipation? I'll get you to say that.
There we go. We'll get you doing it right yet before we get finished here. Think of like an ant. So
an ant.
Anticipatory. Okay, that might help you. So anyway, and you're not the first one to struggle with it, believe me, but it's the best word for getting people to do what I'm talking about versus being reactionary.
Yeah.
And so a small business, a lot of small businesses hundreds have applied it. I've got a anticipatory organization executive learning system that it's an award winner that many size companies, including small ones, have applied. So it's not about the size of the company. It's more about deciding to seize your destiny, to shape the future rather than have it come to you. And I mentioned something before that I want to draw attention to. I said change comes from the outside in, forcing us to crisis manage and put out fires. But let me throw another word out there: transformation. Transformation does not come from the outside in. Personal transformation and business transformation always come from the inside out. And you know what that does? That gives you control. You can't control outside in, but you control inside out. And you do that by being anticipatory. And by the way, I'm glad you enjoyed the show. You're learning a lot. And remember, learning is applying. And, I don't have a job. I have a calling, and that is to teach versus to tell. So to help you to learn it, you will learn what I'm talking about better if you try applying it, making that list, seeing if you can come up with some opportunities that relate to you. That's the beginning of the journey. Do we have any others?
And that's what I'm getting from you, Daniel, is make lists, create the list, do the salt. It's like the pros and cons, right, of life. Put the pros and cons and see where you can make a different choice and solution for the opportunity.
Right, exactly. It's most of us are passive receivers of the future. And what we do is we think, I think I'll wait and see what'll happen. Let's see what'll happen. But you can wait and see yourself right out of business. Yeah. So I don't want you to be a wait and see. Why didn't a taxi driver think of Uber? Why didn't Marriott think of Airbnb? Billion-dollar businesses. And I'll tell you why. They're all busy doing what they've always done. Yeah. Because you can busy yourself right out of business today. And all of us are really busy. But I would like us to step back. And here's the advice I'm going to give all of you right now. And that is once a week. Remember, you're going to spend the rest of your life in the future. So here's what I'd like you to try. Once a week, I'd like you to spend an hour unplugging from the present and all the crises and how busy you are, and plug into your future. And by the way, if you don't put it in your calendar as an appointment, it won't happen. You'll be too busy. So mark it down in your calendar once a week. It's worth it. And that's where you're strategic about your future. That's where you're shaping the future rather than letting it just happen to you. And that's where you're identifying the hard trends and opportunities, the soft trends and the opportunities to influence them. And you'll get a list. And then what I'd like you to do is realize big lists never get done. So I'd like you to get rid of all the could do's, things you could do. I'd like you to get rid of all the things that you should do because you don't have time for that either. And I'd like you to find one, maybe two things that you have decided are a must do. I must do that. Because if I don't, I'm crazy. Because it's going to happen anyway. And I think you'll find that hour a week is worthwhile.
Next question we have for you, Daniel, is what are the common mistakes people make when predicting the future?
Great question. Boy, I love all these questions. First of all, one of the great mistakes is that the only thing that's predictable is death and taxes. And that's a major mistake because then we don't think there are any hard trends. But I've been doing this literally for decades, and there are thousands of hard trends. I've collected so many, it's amazing. And by the way, all of them have come to be true. There are companies that have made millions and billions of dollars, including small companies, off of actually defining those hard trends. So that's common mistake number one. Nothing is predictable. No one can predict the future and be right. And I would say mistake, 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 giant mistake. Secondly, and this is one I haven't taught you all yet, so let me teach you another new concept, and that is they think if something new comes along, the choice is it's either the new or the old. Either all the cars are going to be electric cars or they'll all be gas. Or either we're going to be all out of a job because of AI or we'll all have a job and AI will go away. Either or. All the cars will be autonomous or we won't have autonomous cars. You're not going to be good at the future if you do that. Instead of the either or, I want you to think in terms of both and. We're going to have gas cars and electric cars. All right. We're going to have autonomous cars and semi-autonomous cars. Not all cars are going to be autonomous, guaranteed. How do I know that for sure? Well, let's imagine a school bus with small kids in there. You know what? I think I'd like an adult on board. And if there's going to be an adult on board, why not put them behind the wheel? And I want that school bus to be impossible to have an accident. But I'd like a human on board in case if it gets hacked. I'd like a human on board in case there's some problem with the tech. You see, that's called semi-autonomous, not autonomous. And we will have some autonomous vehicles. We do already. It's a mixture. So it's a both and versus an either or. Those are two big mistakes.
But Daniel, we have another question here for you. How can leaders train their team to think ahead instead of reacting?
A great question. Well, first of all, if you go to burrus.com, burrus.com, look at my anticipatory organization training system. It is inexpensive. It has actually always exceeded expectations. It's what I do is I teach people with a short video, short meaning 4 minutes or so, single concept. Then I give them a rapid application tool, how they can apply it to themselves. And there's an AI assist feature to help them with it. And then they go through, and there are actually a lot of lessons. It's not just hard and soft trends. For example, earlier in our discussion, I talked about one of the things I teach, and that is how to take your biggest problem and skip them. Well, there's a lesson on problem skipping, because if you can skip your problems, you can move forward faster. There's another one on opposites work better. Let me give you an example of opposites work better, since I'm bringing up the subject. And it actually is also a problem skipping example, because sometimes these things work together. So when they were making the first Jaws movie, and I know you've all seen the first Jaws movie, I bet every one of you have seen it, they were having trouble with it. And they almost didn't make it. Why? Because they couldn't get the shark to look real. It looked fake. They couldn't make it look real. And they were getting close to giving up until they skipped the problem and did an opposite. What did they do? Let's not show the shark. Let's show what the shark is looking at underwater, all those feet up on the surface. Right? That's what they did. And then when they showed you the shark later in the movie, you were already brought in and were already enjoying the movie and didn't care that it looked fake. And by the way, it did kind of look fake, but we didn't care. You see, that was take the problem and skip it. Let's not show the shark in the beginning. Let's skip it. And what do? Let's try the opposite. Let's see what the shark is seeing instead of what we're seeing. You see, I've got 28 lessons in that learning system, and that's why it's an award winner. And they will change your business and change how you do everything. So I'm making it something you should really think about doing.
The next question we have for you is, what industries benefit the most from this strategy right now?
Wow. I work in just about every industry because I've been doing this for quite a long time. I haven't really found an industry that doesn't benefit from it. And you can even take industries that you might think are kind of backwards facing. Let me give you an example. Accounting, auditing. Now, what do accountants do? They don't look to the future. They look to the past. They look at all of your documents that you've had that year to do a tax preparation and to make sure that you, in an auditing way, that they're all correct. So they're historians. So you might think, well, you can't, Dan Burrus, you can't help us. Oh, yes, I can. Because what's happening is with AI, we're getting to real-time auditing, real-time tax work. In other words, AI is doing that more and more. What are the accountants going to do? What they're going to do is draw from the historical data insights and foresights. They're going to become anticipatory problem solvers and trusted advisors. And by the way, because I mentioned that, I'm working with two international associations. One, AICPA, the whole world of accounting and auditing. Another one, CIMA, which is the world of chief financial officers. And I'm doing a 2040 project using my hard trend, soft trend, anticipatory, and they're coming up with all kinds of amazing things to reinvent themselves. In other words, I took a past-oriented industry right now as an example and showed you how even they can become anticipatory. So any industry.
Well, Daniel, I want to bring up your books before we're almost at the end here. I want to bring up this one first. So if you want to just talk a little bit about this book and where people can get this book and all that good stuff.
Sure, the Anticipatory Organization, and it really delivers on the subtitle, Turn Disruption and Change into Opportunity and Advantage. And as you can see on the top, discover 25 proven strategies to accelerate innovation and transform results. Well, it delivers on all of those things. It's been a bestseller, and I'm a storyteller, as you can tell. So what I'm doing is I'm giving you concepts and ideas. And in this book, it's really filled with a lot of examples of how companies of different sizes have used all the different principles. It's far more than just hard trends and soft trends, as I talked about. But the goal here is to be less reactionary and much more anticipatory, shaping your future. And as change accelerates, if all you are is reactionary, every year is going to be tougher and harder. This will make every year much better for you. The other one that I think you were going to show is Flash Foresight. And again, that's been a bestseller in many different countries and here. And look at the subtitle, How to See the Invisible and Do the Impossible. And again, it's story form, story written, really great examples in there. And let me just address the subtitle and the title. I think you'll get an interesting thing. So I say, how to see the invisible and do the impossible. Well, how do you do that? Well, let's think for a second. Everything that we do was impossible at one time. Glasses were impossible. Even a chair was impossible at one time. Everything was impossible. How do humans turn the impossible into the possible? We make the invisible visible. Well, how do you do that? Well, I've got 9 things that will give you flashes of foresight. And a flash of foresight allows you to move forward where you were stuck before. It makes the invisible visible. All of a sudden, you can see the new opportunity. So the book has all these areas where I give you flashes of foresight and show you how to do it.
Well, we have a question that came in earlier from another platform that's listening in, and they said, how can individuals begin thinking like futurists in their own personal or professional lives?
Well, your personal and professional life do overlap, but they are also different from each other as well. So I would start by looking at your personal life, and I would like you to think, what is your ideal future? Think at least 10 years out. At least 10 years out. Now, you have to ask, how old am I going to be 10 years from now? Think about that. And think about how am I going to define success 10 years from now? Because some of us have the same definition of success we've had when we were 20, but now you're 50 or you're 60. You know what? That's the wrong definition. That success definition's obsolete. You need a new one. So what does that look like? What's your ideal future? And then plan backwards towards the present, because you can get more vague. You see, they didn't just launch Artemis 2 and hope it got to the moon. They knew exactly where they were going to go. They know the exact course. They had a plan. They had their ideal goal. And by the way, when Artemis lands on the moon in a year and a half or whenever they're planning on doing that, they'll know exactly where they're going to land. They pinpointed it. What's that? That's the ideal goal. What's your ideal goal? Now let's look at business-wise. What is your professional goal? What impact do you plan on having? Can you elevate that using being anticipatory? And by the way, I would look right now at your job definition, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's already obsolete. It's already obsolete. AI has already made it obsolete. I would like you to write your new job definition based on where we're going, not where we've been. And because if you don't write your new job definition, someone else will write it for you, and you may not like it.
Right?
Right?
We have to start standing up for ourselves and putting our feet forward, for the opportunities out there. Daniel, I've learned so much tonight with you, from learning the word anticipation.
You're almost there. You're almost there.
We're almost at the end of the show. I will get it.
I know when we stop this, I'll bet about an hour from now you'll be having dinner or something and saying it perfectly and saying, "Dang, I wish I could have done that before." But you did it. You got it.
But Daniel, what is one word that describes the future for you?
I would say optimistic. Now, let me tell you why I'm optimistic about the future. Because first of all, pessimists never try anything Why? Because they know it'll fail. So optimists are the ones that shape the future, that try new things, that innovate. And secondly, I am excited about our future. It's a bright future, not a dim future. Why? Well, I've given speeches in 51 countries. I've flown over 7 million miles over the decades. I bet you don't know that many people with that many miles flown. And so in other words, I've been around, I met a lot of people from all over the world, everywhere. And I can tell you right now, oh man, there's a lot of young, bright bulbs out there that are not going to sit back and let the world go downhill. They know there's some amazing new tools that are letting us do impossible things right now. And we can apply them to build a better tomorrow. And you know what? They're going to do that. And I'd like you to be one of those people, regardless of your age. I'd like all of us to build a better tomorrow for ourselves and for others. So I see the future as bright.
And Daniel, what is the
right,
biggest opportunity? What is the biggest opportunity people are missing today?
The biggest opportunity that people are missing? The opportunity to not just change, but to transform either a process, a product, a service, or a career. Remember, I told you, change comes from the outside in. I want you to transform it. And I want you to use all of these things, this visible future, the certainties, so that it's based on something future facts. So you're going in the right direction. See, if you're already developing and going in the right direction, you're going to be in good shape.
And anticipation or action, what comes first for you?
You said anticipation or action? I would say anticipation first, because if I'm taking action before I know what the hard trends shaping the future are, before I know what the opportunities are, I could be taking actions in the wrong direction. As a matter of fact, a lot of people think that it's all about execution. But if you're executing an old, obsolete strategy, you're not going to be a happy camper. So I think it's important to be anticipating first, then to develop the strategy, then to execute.
And Daniel, what is your final message for all the listeners tonight? And where can people find you and all that good stuff?
All right. Best way to find me is Burrus, BURRUS.com. And you can find, that's a portal to a lot of places. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn, Daniel Burrus on LinkedIn. I've got 1.2 million followers there, so join the conversation. And what I would like you all to do is to, again, actively shape a better future for yourselves and for others, instead of just waiting and seeing. I want you to be active shapers. And to do that, I want you to be anticipatory.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciated this conversation. I appreciate everybody tuning in and asking these amazing questions tonight. If you guys want to check out more, check out these books and check out what he offers, all the different services. And Daniel, thank you for all the freebies tonight. So if anybody that watches the replay or catches the replay, share it with somebody who is looking for some information as well. So we're just going to do a wrap up of what tonight's tea time is, and we'll be back on Thursday with 2 new tea times, and we'll do this all over again. What a powerful and perspective shifting conversation. Daniel, thank you for reminding us that the future is not something that simply happens to us. It is something that we can actively shape when we learn how to see it clearly. Tonight, we were reminded that uncertainty does not have to be feared. In fact, within uncertainty lies opportunity. If we are willing to look ahead, think differently, and act with intentions. Your work challenges us to stop reacting to change and start anticipating it, to move from guessing to knowing what is coming next. Here is something to carry with you after this tea time. What is the future you are waiting for? Is actually waiting for you to prepare for it. To everyone listening, whether in business or in life, the ability to see ahead, adapt, and take action is what creates growth. Until our next cup, keep sharing, keep looking forward, and keep thinking bigger, and keep stepping into the future with purpose. And I'll see everybody next week on Thursday with 2 new tea times, and we'll do this all over again. Thank you guys again for joining me on Tea Time.